everyone. In this video, we're going to learn about the organs and structures in the reproductive system. We're going to go over both the male and female reproductive systems. And if you see any structure with a star at the end of the name, make sure you know the function of those structures as well. So let's start with the female reproductive system. What you see here is an anterior view of the female reproductive system. And this right here is the ovary. This is where all the eggs are stored, matured, and stored here. Once a month, there's an event called ovulation where usually one egg leaves the ovary, and since there are two ovaries, it usually switches from one ovary to the next each month. But essentially, the egg is going to travel from the ovary to the oviduct. The oviduct is also known as the uterine tubule. It's also known as the fallopian tubule, but this is the oviduct right here. Now, if you take a closer look, you'll notice that the ovary is not directly attached to the oviduct. There are these fimbria structure, these hair-like structure that are going to beat very fast around the time of ovulation due to hormone changes, and that's going to sweep up the egg from the oviduct it's going to sweep up the egg from the ovary into the oviduct. So you got the ovary, the fimbriae, and the oviduct. If fertilization happens, it happens in the oviduct. If no fertilization happens, the egg will travel to the uterus. If fertilization happens, the zygote is going to travel to the uterus and implant into the wall of the uterus. This is the uterus right here. There are 3 layers to the uterine wall. You have the endometrium. This is the innermost layer. In this layer, this is when the lining thickens to prepare for pregnancy to support the implanted embryo. The middle layer is called the myometrium, and then the outer layer is the perimetrium. These are the muscle layers within the uterus. The curvature part right here, this is the fundus of the uterus, this portion right here. Then at the bottom of the uterus, we have the cervix and then the vagina. The cervix is the region that dilates whenever labor is occurring. Taking a closer look at the female reproductive organs, you can see that the ovary and the uterus and the oviduct, they're held in place by ligaments. The biggest ligament that you see right here, this is the broad ligament. Then you have the ovarian ligament, and then you have the round ligament here. So the ligaments help hold the female reproductive organs in place. All right, so this again is a frontal view of the female anatomy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the structure from a sagittal view, so from a side view. From the side view, what you can see is first, try to orient yourself to the anterior and the posterior first, since that will make things easier. This is the anterior, this is the posterior. You'll notice that this is the rectum area right here, so this is going to be the posterior. This right here is the bladder. Now what you see is this is the uterus. So this would be the fundus of the uterus here, and then this is the uterus. If this is the uterus, this would be the cervix, and this would be the vagina. So if we trace our way back up, if this is the uterus, then we have the oviduct here, the fimbria, which covers the ovary. So the ovary, the fimbria, the oviduct, also known as the uterine tubule, also known as the fallopian tube, that takes the egg or the zygote, if the egg is fertilized, into the uterus. Now, in the uterus, remember, we have the 3 layers. We have the endometrium, which is the most inner layer where the uterine lining thickens. Then we have the myometrium, and then we have the perimetrium, the most outer layer of the uterus. Okay. So here it's a little bit hard for you to see all of the ligaments. You can see a little bit of the round ligament, but take a look at the other diagram for the ovarian and the broad ligaments. All right, so let's go ahead and go down to the cervix region. This is the cervix, so this is the vagina. Outside of the vagina, you can see the mons pubis. The mons pubis is this area right here. It's a thick layer of fatty tissue that helps cover a good chunk of the female reproductive organs. Now, from the mons pubis, we can see the clitoris right here. The clitoris is analogous to the glans penis in males. It's just during embryonic development, the males get the signal for the clitoris to elongate. The females, the clitoris doesn't elongate, so it stays as the clitoris. And then from here, from the clitoris, we have this organ right here. This is the bulb of vestibule. I'll show you a better view of the bulb of vestibule later, but this is where there's going to be fluid secretion that comes out here. And then we have the vagina, and then here at the vagina, we have the greater vestibular gland, so sort of posterior. I'll show you a better view of the greater vestibular gland and the bulb of vestibule in the next slide. Right here would be the labia minora, and then here would be the labia majora. The labia majora is the area where there's going to be pubic hair that grows out during puberty, but you won't see the pubic hair in the labia minora parts, but these are the lips that covers the vagina. All right, and this is the structure, and all of these are the structures that you can see from the sagittal view. So as promised, I do want to show you the bulb of vestibule and the greater vestibular gland in this angle. So here is the urethra where urine is going to enter, and then this is the actual vagina itself. Surrounding the vagina, you have the bulb of vestibule. And here is going to be the greater vestibular gland, also known as the Bartholin glands. So the Bartholin gland is the actual gland where there's going to be fluid that is secreted along with the bulb of vestibule. The fluid that are secreted here is going to be useful for lubricating the vagina area. So you can see it better from this view. So that concludes the female reproductive tract. Let's go ahead and go over to the male. So with the male, I showed you the sagittal view. This is the intact, and then here we remove some of the structures so you can see the internal parts. But let's go ahead and look at the diagram of the structures that we can see just from the external. This is the penis right here. And if we trace the penis to the internal environment, we can see that this is the testis. Okay? The plural would be testes. So the testis is an area where sperm are produced, and then sperm, they're actually matured in the epididymis, this structure that forms a C shape that sort of envelops itself around the testis. When you take a look at sperm that is swimming, that is sperm that's mature. Sperm that are produced in the testis, they're not matured yet. They get matured in the epididymis. Surrounding the testis and the epididymis, you have the scrotum. So this is the scrotum right here. So from the epididymis, when sperm is ready, it's going to leave the testis in the epididymis region via a structure called the vas deferens. So sperm leaving the epididymis, they're going to travel through the vas deferens. Okay. From the vas deferens, they're going to pass through a structure called the seminal vesicle. They're also going to pass through another structure here called the prostate gland. And when I say pass through, they're going along the path. What the seminal vesicles and the prostate glands do, these are accessory structures in the male reproductive system that are going to add secretion fluid to the sperm, which creates semen. Only 5% of semen actually are sperm. The rest is coming from fluid that are secreted by the seminal vesicle and the prostate. And these fluids are going to help sperm become fast, add nutrients to sperm so they can actually travel up the female reproductive tract. Another thing that I want to show you as well is this would be the bladder right here. So this is the bladder, this is the seminal vesicle glands. There are two of them, and then this is the prostate gland. There's one prostate gland. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the structure of the male anatomy if we remove some of this external part. So if we remove the external part, you can actually see the prostate gland in more detail. This right here, this portion right here, this is the ejaculatory duct, where there are going to be some fluid that is secreted in here. Sperm is traveling through here. And then you have the prostatic urethra. The prostatic urethra is this channel that runs through the prostate gland, but it's actually at this point where it meets the membranous urethra, which you'll see will take the semen and in addition urine outside of the penis as well. So you have the ejaculatory duct, you have the prostatic urethra right here, and then you have the membranous urethra where the penis is at. Okay. All right. Another thing too is that the bulbourethral gland, it's going to be the small gland down here. It's a little bit hard to see from this view, but this would be the bulbourethral glands. These are pea-sized gland, and these are the glands that is going to secrete fluid prior to ejaculation. And the fluid that comes out prior to ejaculation is going to clean the urethra of any urine residue so that urine comes out, so that semen comes out of a much more cleaner pathway. So you have the bulbourethral glands right here. And then if we move into the actual penis structure itself, we can see the spongy urethra. This is the spongy urethra up here, down here, I'm sorry, and then up here, this is the membranous urethra. But then coming to this point, this is the spongy urethra. This is the area where both urine and semen comes out of. And then this portion right here, this is the glans penis, which is analogous to the clitoris in female. So you got the glans penis right here. This is the glans penis. And then also, we can also see this structure where it's tissue layers that surrounds the penis. The structure, the tissue layer that you see at has the largest in diameter, that's the thickest. This is going to be the corpus cavernosa, and then surrounding the spongy urethra, there's a tissue layer in pink here. This is called the corpus sponginosum. So here the purple is the corpus cavernosum, and then the tissue layer that surrounds the spongy urethra, this is the corpus sponginosum. Both of these tissue layers are going to contribute to the erection process. And this concludes both the male and female reproductive organs. Again, make sure that if there is a star next to the structure, you know the function as well. All right, thank you so much for listening.